You all out there?
We're live now on both Facebook and YouTube.
Hi, guys. We shall begin. Sorry it's a few minutes late. You want to let Deb. There it went. Ergin Pema Junila Solwa Deb. Dorje Chang Chitilo Narudan Namla Solwa Deb. Dzogchen Lama Namla Solwa Deb. Kaginwari Lama Namla Solwa Deb. Shakya Lama Namla Solwa Deb. Nyanduda Yundran Lama Namla Solwa Lama Nam Che Tente Her Chong. Before all practices, vitally alive openness that I pointed out to you last night. Bodhicitta is the vitality of that, arises as that vitality. The true Bodhicitta, which is the awareness beyond a shade of a doubt that we are all frigging in this together. You are not an individual entity. At minimum, you're an ecology. Even if you only believe in Western science, being familiar, millions of them. Do you remember offhand how many critters live in us? You're the other medical person here. It's a number I've seen, and I think it's billions. So, you know, anybody here ever had a yeast overgrowth? Remember how much you wanted sugar? That wasn't you. That was them. You just thought it was you because they're part of you. The sugar cravings that come with a yeast overgrowth, with the biome being slightly cacked in the gut. Him or them. Because you and your yeast don't all die simultaneously and necessarily reincarnate together now, do you? Your yeast don't live nearly as long as you might, an individual yeast. So who gets that piece of karma? Who reincarnates experiencing the lack result of having stolen a donut? You or them? If you really start twirling on that, it can get very interesting. You can come to the recognition that you aren't what you thought you were. Your kid has it. His kid likes to eat dirt. Parasite wants friends. Parasite eggs live in the dirt. How much of what you do is motivated by them, not you? Consider this. You're an ecology, not an entity. Consider that due to an overgrowth of a particular species of biome. We'll see whether she manages to kill off enough of them to survive. Anybody ever take an antibiotic for the same reason? You, plural. And all the others, plural, have Buddha nature, singular. And it's the same Buddha nature, but your experience of it is different. As individual enlightenment, we say that the attempts at individual enlightenment, you might be able to snuff yourself out like a candle and no longer suffer. Like an arhat perhaps. But you are not fully enlightened. There's a step past that, and your muscles relaxed. Whether you sit in the Buddha position of cross-legged, the Japanese kneeling position, or the Maitreya position in a chair, however you choose to do it, align yourself. If you can, remember the eye focus, 2 meters in front of the end of your nose, and then let go. Becomes second nature to release the point focus of your eyeball. You do this using the little lens controlling muscles that are around the orbit of the eyes. You relax those completely so that the lens is not anymore doing point focus. There to be stuck to, nor any such thing to do the sticking. Relaxed and open. Without focusing on the passing thoughts, without particularly paying any attention to what they say. Children in a sandbox. Their words of no interest. Relax around the thoughts. Leave them be. If they're moving so fast that they bother you, breathe in through your nose and out slowly through your mouth. Between the thoughts is of value to them. Others who are able to recognize the inherent transparency of all thoughts need not bother with seeking the between. Example of transparency. As an aside, they didn't have glass in Tibet. When you want to show someone transparency, all you have is rock crystal. So this is the only thing they might have seen that is transparent. I could just as easily show you my glass here in this place and have used that for the third wong when I didn't have my crystal with me. My water glass, sure. Why not? Transparency is the point, the thoughts. Look at your thought. And fast. When you think, pick a thought, hold a thought. You hold that thought. Watch the thought while you hold it. It's wiggly, isn't it? It's actually a whole series of different thoughts on the same topic, each one slightly different than the one before, circling around and around. Yes, can you see that? Thoughts have no duration. Don't take my word for this. Go look for yourself. How long does a single... We have a syllable that refers to the glue that hooks them together. Thought. So thought chains, thoughts that are hooked together like this, that make up a story, are called nam thought. We use that word a lot. You'll hear it again. He's having nam talk. He's telling himself a story about it. So what you want to do is unhook your talks. You want to say foreground. This is a method. This is an analogy. It's not real. From what appears to be the foreground of your mind, where the stories are being told, to the infinite spacious background of no-thingness. Try it. First, tell yourself a analogy like 1,000 raindrops landing in a puddle, in a pool. The talk is like hooks. When you relax, they slide against itself and open. This is an analogy. That's one of the ways to say it, but
Yeah, so in observation, it seems that
as the observation rather than the observation, or the observed. Stand in the middle. That free-ranging awareness, that Rigpa, the seer, without separating it from what it sees or the act of seeing. That which sees, feels, hears, tastes, touches, sonars, and everything else among all the multitude of human species with different sense organs. All the multitude of different stories in different languages. To mix singularity with multiplicity without deleting either one comes to the midline. This is the union of bodhicitta, the multiplicity of the vitality and how it manifests, and shunyata, the infinite open spaciousness in which it can manifest. And it is the very aliveness of that which you are a manifestation of. Rigpa, open awareness. See that? Now all you have to do to practice GOM is to see that often until you're sure of it. Stand up and walk around for a minute. If y'all remember this from last time, don't tell the others. Feel your body. Okay, have a seat and make yourself comfortable in it. How many of you were thinking about the law of gravity while you walked? Yeah, I've done it to you before, though. If I haven't done it to you before, I'll bet nobody thought about gravity, even when I said pay attention to your body. And yet, how do you walk? You pick up a foot, you put it in front of the other foot, you lean forward a little bit, and gravity pulls it down and forwards. You were completely sure of the law of gravity. without the least doubt. There was absolutely no fear in your walking that that might not happen as you put your foot forward and leaned. Was there? How'd you get so sure? You weren't born sure. You sat in your high chair. You picked things up. You held them out. You let go and they went down. Again and again and again. Either you remember that, or if you've got kids, you remember them doing that. Checking it out. You tried different methods of propelling yourself forwards. You didn't know you couldn't fly. You didn't know about gravity. But every time you didn't get it right, you went down. Kids are designed to bounce when they're that young. After a while, you got sure and you stopped needing to drop everything to see what would happen. When kids are really little and they start letting go of things, and then they cry because it's no longer there for them, they didn't know they couldn't put it on the air, that it would go down. I have very early memories, and I definitely remember being flummoxed by that. No, it went down, Mommy, get it? I didn't mean it to go away. I just wanted to put it over there, right here. Of course, I wasn't talking that much then, so I couldn't explain why I was yowling after dropping things out of my high chair. Off the changing table, that was the big one, because I thought there was a space warp behind it. And that anything that dropped in there fell into some other universe and would never be seen again, because Mom didn't go down there and fish him out all that often. Little kids make weird stories about reality until they figure out gravity. This is the same. You got to get as sure of this as you got of gravity. How long did it take you to become really sure of gravity? When was the last time you asked your mommy or daddy to hold you up in the air and let go so you could fly? I remember doing that verbally, so I was definitely on towards 2 for a complex sentence. So a couple of years, right? And you did a lot of things like trying to walk, bouncing up and down, dropping things in those 2 years. You did it pretty constantly. Kids are constantly exploring their environment. As soon as they're awake, they're moving around and checking stuff out. Whether you remember it with you or with your kids, you've noticed this. You got to do it with this just the same. The first point, the first word of Garab Dorje is introducing you directly into the face of Rigpa itself. Tawalong chikrabjamni. As for the view of infinite vast expanse, Tiksum dongine dudet, 3 statements that strike the vital point. First, relax and release your mind. Neither scattered nor concentrated. Not thinking, not caught up in your thinking. Don't try to squish your thoughts. They're springy. They sprung back. There's an old Zen koan that a teacher once told a guy not to think of a dead donkey. And for the next 5 years, he could think of nothing but, because trying so hard not to. And by examining his thoughts that way, he got enlightened. I didn't tell the story fully. It's in Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, if you want to find it and read it. It's a lot of Zen koans and things. Look. now. Right now. Relax your eyeballs. Relax your mind. If you can slide in the middle between point focus of Shine, which is focused on the stillness, point focused on the Longchen Rabjam, we'll call it, infinite vast expanse. You don't want to point focus on that. That's Shine. Your Shine needs to mature into Laktong. I'm talking Mahamudra words here. But you don't want to point focus on the infinite openness. You want to open focus onto the infinite openness so that you are not shoving away thoughts. What keeps you trapped in samsara? Aversion and attraction. If you want your thoughts to go away and you are grasping at shunyata, guess what? You are perpetuating being trapped in samsara. That is not the way out. Utter relaxation of hope and fear. The malaise of striving, remember? Here's where that fits in from the first text that I read you, Song of the Cuckoo. Relax past wanting to see open awareness. Relax past fighting with your thoughts to get away from them. Keep relaxing more and more, relaxing your mind more and more. Suluja. That's infinite open awareness, which is always present, which is your own true nature, which is the true nature of all life. It does not discard the dance of creativity, which is thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. It does not reject that, nor does it grasp the vast, indescribable openness, nor does it grasp the bliss of awake awareness without grabbing or shoving. Relax. Let the thoughts dance with their attendant feelings. Pay them no never mind without suppressing. Let the infinite open awareness in its full vital potential, the great bliss of union of samsara and nirvana, let it be just as it is and always has been. While resting in this even state, suddenly exclaim a mind-shattering, "Pet!" Pop it. You made it up. You wanted it, so you made it up. Stick a pin in it. Nang la chamne lode nang, chujang lode pet chi jap. Ndrak la ngar tungema ho. Fierce and forceful and abrupt. You got to sneak up on yourself with the magic seed syllable. Seed syllables are magic words. They hold power inherent in them by the shape of the letters and by the phrase. The seed syllable pet is a popper. It's like a pin, it pops. Nyams. See, when you're sitting on your cushion, and this is only true on your cushion, not in walkabout, or shouldn't be in walkabout. When you're sitting on your cushion, you will tend to trance out and fall into an extreme. You will either tend to fall into a story and be distracted, or you will fall into a shine, a resting in stillness, a trance state on the infinite open awareness. That's an extreme too. You got to get in the middle. So you want to pop the extremes. Meditative experiences are called nyams. You can spell this N-Y-A-M if you like in English. They're not good or bad. They show that you're practicing when they happen. They can be very intricate. The blue light came in from the left, and then there was a red sphere, and it did this and that. People love to tell me what they saw. Doesn't matter. You had a nyam. That tells me you were actually doing the practice. Good, it's a good sign point. But what colors came in from where is not important here. So there are 3 traditional nyams and a 4th one that I don't actually know the name of because I think Rinpoche was making a joke when he told me what it was called. You know, like telling me my house key was called a penis. The Tibetan humor. So, Dewa Nyam. This is a bliss state. Oh, it's so nice. Nothing hurts. If you're old, you understand the joy of that. So happy. So loving and wonderful. And then there's a clarity state. I got it. I am wise now. Mom, are we there yet? Let me tell you about what I saw. Selwanyam. Mitokpanyam. A thought-free state. Time passes, you don't even know it passed. It's a trance out. It's a one-pointed focus on the stillness of Longchen Rabcham, infinite open expanse, whatever you want to call it, Tawa. It's an extreme. And then the one I always used to get is this grouch state, where no matter what I saw or my attention landed on, Rinpoche told me it was called a sonyam, but I think that was a joke, so let's just leave the name out. So there are other nyams that can be lights coming in, or for me it was I would just hit this grouch. Was my reaction to a little bit of openness is, and telling myself everything wrong around myself was my way of hiding from it. We'll see what your way of hiding from it turns out to be. It can be a little scary. In the beginning. And it can seem, I want to say, too empty, too bland, which means you're missing the bodhicitta inherent in it. I assign people chin raising if that happens, like yesterday. If you're missing the bliss state. Too much chin raising, you're going to get caught in a bliss nyam, a dewa nyam. So you balance it with formless meditation or with shine. As a teacher, everything is about helping the student balance their practice to avoid splitching into emptiness and nihilism, or into, I'm not sure what to call it, when that over-awareness of fake bodhisattva comes. It's almost like, you know those people who run themselves crazy trying to be everything to everyone? That. You fell over into wannabe bodhisattva. It's like wannabe cops, they're scary. Wannabe bodhisattvas are scary too. They're the ones that drag the little old ladies across the street. Try to give others what they want rather than knowing what the others want. Think of it sexually. You're all probably sexually active. You're young. So you want your partner to do what your partner wants or what you want? You want to tell your partner what you want, which is not going to be the same sensations they want. Maybe they like you really fierce and scratching and biting, but you don't like them that way. Rather than go to the trouble of tying them up first, you can just communicate this. Everyone has their own ways. Seeing that, one of the rules we have as a teacher is we're not allowed to proselytize. Proselytize. We're not allowed to push. You got to wait for a suck. Absolutely forbidden to go out and try to find people. You wait till they come. And if you're sitting with them all, you wait till they ask a question. You might sit with a student for hours and they never get around to asking you anything about Dharma because they think you're off duty. And it's very frustrating. I'm autistic. It's my subject of interest. You try to get me to stop talking about dinosaurs. As an analogy. Dharma's my subject of interest, not dinosaurs. That's my grandson's subject of interest. The point I'm making about here, and I may have strayed a bit, is balance, the middle way. Always try to find the balance of the middle way and be aware that it's not a singular point of balance. Within the moving, it needs to be flexible and to flow. So when you get trapped, you get stuck in a nyam. Works on grouch nyams too. See what yours turn. Everybody's pretty creative about these. You get the basic 3 standards and then you get the whatevers. The trick is when you notice that it isn't just passing. It isn't just a waft of bliss and it's finished then, which sometimes happen. That's fine. All sorts of feelings pass. Thoughts pass. When you notice you're stuck, then you pop it with the seed syllable pet. For that to be effective, it has to be fierce, sudden, and sharp. So sitting there and thinking about, yeah, I should do a pay. I seem to be stuck in something. Okay, pay. Doesn't work. It's not the same, it's not pronounced the same way it is in chud, where you sing a long pay. Pay. Even though it serves a somewhat similar purpose of cutting through. So, pet. It's almost like a sneeze. Pet. You see how my body jumps? Pet. Try one. Try them. You can be loud or short. Fierce is not the same as loud. It can be fairly quiet as long as it's fierce, sudden, sharp, short. It needs to have these characteristics to work. Those were some good pets. Now, you don't do this in group practice, because as in just now, you sound like microwave popcorn. You don't do this when you're out and about on the street, because that's really not where nyams happen. They happen on the cushion. Yes, if you get one on the street and it's really stuck and you got to do something about it, because this is a secret practice, you take your trusty hanky and you go, and nobody knows what you're doing. Do you understand how to use this? Wait and see if it's stuck. There's a lot of nyams that just sort of pass through. For instance, a view of open awareness may arise and then you innately, oh, cool, got it. And of course that deletes it completely. You didn't have to pop anything. You just wiggled wrong. Experiment with when you need it and when you don't. Drakla ngartung ema ho. Behind the nyam is the real open awareness. Now, you have to be looking right at the nyam. Or rather, you need to have your awareness not focused on, but facing the nyam. So that when it pops from your seed syllable pet, you are in the facing, or your awareness is, it's not point focused, it's still open, but it's facing the nyam, it's aware of the nyam. These are all analogous words, none of them are truly accurate. So that when it pops, you can see what's right behind it. As my teacher always said, to make the sound of pe without looking at the nyam while you do it, all you're going to do is startle your fleas. So it takes the two parts. You have to have your awareness not pointed at. Don't constrict your awareness at the nyam. Here, I'll bring one. I can get one real easy. Make it easier for me to describe. Oh yeah, Dewa Nyam. And just for a moment behind it's the real thing. And then you start talking to yourself about it. And there it goes. But what this does is breaking the little surface occlusions over the natural state, the minor doings over the not doing, over the innate, the natural. Questions on how to use this from either here or the gallery out there? Yes?
Just clarify what the nyam is. It's a sign of true reality that you're trying to bring to the sign. Is that accurate?
It is a illusion of what you think or feel true reality might be. It's something you, how to say, it's not the real thing, it's a facsimile. Difference between the moon in the sky and the moon in the mud puddle. When you throw a pebble in the mud puddle, the difference becomes obvious. So in this analogy, pet is the pebble. It is the moon. It is a signpost that you're practicing correctly in most cases. Every so often, there's a nyam that shows a problem. For instance, Rinpoche had me, I was the medical person for the yogis. the local doc for all these Tibetan retreatants. So one comes to me and it's like, there's a sound in my ears. And I look at him, I check him out. I said, when did it start? Oh, just a few days ago, but it won't go away. And I look and yeah, he's dehydrated. So we rehydrate him with some electrolytes and the sound goes away. It apparently wasn't a nyam, it was a medical issue. So sometimes you got to check out a nyam that's not obviously one of these three and make sure it's not some problem going on. Certain nyams, like experiences of brightness when you sit and meditate with your eyes open. That's real common. When your eyeballs relax, they also dilate. So there's a brighter light that is not the clear light. That's your eyeballs dilating. But if you get stuck with them dilated like that and you hit it with PET, you can break that clear light experience. Because PET also was probably going to cause you to blink and then they'll go back to normal. Do you see how we work with this?
Can you say that again? What about the pupils dilating?
Normally, when you sit and you're meditating, when you relax your eyeballs, your pupils dilate somewhat. So brightness is one of the earliest nyams to come. If you blink a few times, it will go back to normal. It's not a problem. There are Tibetan instructions about not blinking in certain trance states. I don't think the people who gave those instructions have tried it. I've treated too many yogis' eyeballs who are doing things without blinking. Blink. It does not interfere. I speak from experience. Whereas not blinking can interfere with your health, forcing yourself to not blink. Himalayan eye drops, very soothing. That's actually a brand. Chiang Mein Hetewa. There is nothing whatsoever there. Wonder of wonders. Hetewa, wonder of wonders. Hetewa la zangtale. Wonder of wonders, struck by wonder, and yet it is transparent. All is transparent and clear. At some point, it's not just a glimpse. After enough glimpses, there's a certainty that arises. And that which is found behind the nyams becomes the of course. And it is obvious in the nyams. And not in the nyams. And then you need not break a nyam, you just leave it be, it will come and go. It's a nyam, an experience. Billions of experiences come and go in life, you do nothing about it. Zang ma tal jung jodume, fresh, pure, sudden. A question, a beautiful question that was given me by Lama Tupten Yeshi. What do you think the second moment of enlightenment's going to be like? You think it's going to be the same as the first moment or different? The answer is yes. Constantly flexing and changing, unborn, undying as it was from the very beginning. It is the union of stillness and movement, the dancing stillness. Slip into Mahamudra terms. Drultra. that is the key. Almost to deciding upon one thing, almost to the end, Jenya, of the mid one. I don't see page numbers on here, so I can't tell you. But fresh and pure, new in each moment. Nothing continues from moment to moment, except outside of time beyond space, so the moving is the stillness, utterly obvious. Chukurigpa ngojung shik. Recognize this, pure awareness of Dharmakaya, the clear light nature of the Dharmakaya. Bright, alive, lucid, empty, vast, infinite, open. This is you. It's not you looking at this, where you're over here and Tawa's over here. Yar Tawa, yar this. Identify with the vitality of the infinite openness. Zang ma tal jung Jodumi, fresh and pure, so beyond description. Chuku rigpa ngojun shik. Recognize this is the pure awareness of Dharmakaya. Ngorang toktu tripati dang po. This is the first vital point, introducing you to directly to the face of your very own rigpa, your very own awareness. Capiche? Tawa. It's a word. It translates as view, but view makes you think you're inside looking out a window at something. So I don't like that word. I'd rather we just use Tawa or George. I want to make sure y'all know how to find Tawa and how to clarify Tawa. You know when you make a soup, a broth, not a bone broth, but say a meat broth or a vegetable broth, and you fry stuff first, you want to fry the onions up in certain spice, How do you get the fat off? You have to peel the fat off the top to have a beautiful, pure soup. If you cooked it too hot and it's cloudy, you have to do this thing with eggs, which you put in, and then you peel that off the top. An analogy for popping yams is getting your bouillon clear if you're a cook. And that will have made no sense to anybody who's not a cook. But it was the only one I could think of at the time. Questions, specifically on the subject of finding Tawa, knowing if you found Tawa, wondering if you're doing it right to find Tawa, that whole topic. This is for both out there and in here. Yes?
What if you have a resistance to actually accepting that that's you?
Accepting that as you?
Because for me it's like, oh, that's too much or too beautiful to be.
Go see your therapist. That resistance sounds like someone installed in you on a American cultural level that you're not good enough. That should be removed. In Tibetan system, we would use Vajrasattva to remove that. It's pretty effective. Just aim it at that. All those little voices. There is also a bond method called a soul retrieval, where those things that are not yours that were gifted to you in childhood can be sent back to the person who gifted them. So some teachers, without intention, due to being overtired that day, having a fight with their boyfriend, for any number of reasons, have gifted you with bad thoughts about yourself. And then you've perpetuated them. And it's not only you, there's 100 of people. You've perpetuated them by telling yourself bad stories about yourself, which we also call casting nasty spells on yourself. And one of the things I very strongly try to encourage people not to do is cast nasty spells on themselves. So when you find yourself doing that, you're going in a thought chain of I'm not good enough. Remember in the beginning I said to be enlightened you don't have to be good enough? So if you're caught in a thought chain of I'm not good enough, hit it with pet. You can pop that. That's a nyam, just like my grouchy nyams were aimed outward, male acculturation. Your grouchy nyams are probably aimed inward, female acculturation. Society does crap on people. Everything in between. So I'd say work with Vajrasattva, but aim it at that. And if that doesn't peel it off in a fairly reasonable amount of time, or at least get most of it off so it doesn't bother you much, see if you can find a shaman who does soul retrieval. They do them in Bonn. I may at sometimes in the winter be able to get them done in Sopema for you, or you can come out there some Losar and I'll get the weird shamans down from Kannur. But you may find a Native American shaman around here. I know the Lakota tradition has them. I didn't run into them in the Cheyenne tradition. But there's enough overlap in these. This is just a magical ceremony. You want a shaman, not a lama. Although some people are both, I'm not. And that can then get peeled off real quick. But it's pretty intense when they do that. You'd cry and you have a lot of emotional reactions. Vajrasattva is a little bit gentler and slower. So takes your picks. We have a regular Vajrasattva practice out at the out at La on Friday nights. So and it's often more intense to do it in a group. So you're welcome to that if it fits your schedule. But to any of you who feel not good enough for this, if that's your interfering nyam, that the more you look at this, that brings up that nyam, that's similar to my grouch nyam. And yeah, you can try popping it. If you can successfully pop it and see the reality that you are that behind it a few times, that will be faster than Tantra, but not as gentle. So I've given you a few methods for that one. And thank you for bringing that up because it's a super common one in our Western culture. It's even worse in the Tibetan culture.
The internet also has questions.
Ah, yes, give me one of those.
One question, well, there's two that are related. One is, how do I find tawa in dreams? And related to that is a question about whether that period between sleeping and dreaming, where there's a bliss state, is that tawa?
No, that's a bliss nyam. To the second question. And the first question is you do it exactly the same way. You do it when you're awake. You dream, you align your channels to make it easier. You dream, you unfocus your eyeballs. You dream, you shift your attention from thoughts to the infinite open awareness that thinks those thoughts. From what is thought to where is thought. From the thought to the thinker. Awareness. And without grasping at that or shoving away the thoughts, you relax more and more in and as that. You do that in the dream state. You do that in the bliss state while falling asleep after having swatted it once with a pet. Other questions? Yes, I'm going to take one here.
I want to understand a little better how to differentiate between when I'm in a flat state and I need more bodhisattva or bodhisattva, or when I'm in the right place and I'm beyond the numb. Because my nature is a lot more flat state. So
That's mitokpanyam. Hit it with pet. See if it moves. That's an easy way. Sometimes it will, however, reoccur quite quickly and you'll have to swat it pretty often. Sometimes if you keep swatting it and it still keeps getting in your face, get up and have a cup of tea. Try again later. That's one way, if that works for you. Another way is to simply see if the state has a potential for liveliness. Not true tawa, which is the union of the three kayas, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and Dharmakaya. You think of Dharmakaya as that infinite open spaciousness of no thing, what is sometimes called emptiness or shunyata. You think of Nirmanakaya as the creation of that, the dance of phenomena, the arising and vanishing of all the thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, which is what phenomena is made of. And there in the middle, Sambhogakaya, the awareness which perceives the two simultaneously. The awareness is the lucidity, what Tibetans call clear light nature of Dharmakaya. The light the word light is like analogous. The light by which the seer sees, the aliveness by which the experiencer experiences. Is that inherent vitality feeling, are you feeling inherently vital? That's one way of noticing if you've got a mitokpanyam. But don't be thinking or talking to yourself about this in words. And if you find there's a feeling there, you can pop it. If you feel sludgy, pop it. It's your personal shade of mitokpa, even though if you may still be having thoughts, there's a dullness. Or it could be that it's too hot in your room and you're sleepy. And then correct your physical environment. Sometimes the problem is the physical, either your health or your body. If you didn't get enough sleep last night, yes, you're going to go trance out and be half asleep. Juniper. Or any non-poisonous plant that has a similar texture. just sprinkles really well. Fennel frond might work, but you'd need a fresh one. Does this answer your question?
Thank you.
Other questions from out there?
Yeah, from the internet, there's a couple of questions about needing to use the syllable pe to dispel nyams. Are there other syllables that also work?
Nope, you're getting too creative. Yes.
Would you say that in thinking about, I guess, the realm of spirituality in a meditation, if you're experiencing maybe like guides or entities or
Nyams
those are all okay.
might be useful, but do be careful out there. And acquaintance get a snake oil salesman stuck, thinking it was a guide. Oops. Oh, did that thing have stuff to sell us?
Would you say that those are actual, is it all just from the mind, or do you think those are actual other conscious beings?
Other conscious beings are from the mind. Look at me. The person you see here is from your mind, not who I actually am. It never is. So your question is a moot point. All beings are from the mind as you see them. You don't see your lover as they truly are. Periodically, you see them as you want them to be, and at other times, you see them as you're afraid they might be, depending on whether you're in the middle of a fight or not. All of our seeing is distorted by those stories we habitually tell ourselves. These are our karmic imprints, and it distorts our perception. That's why, as you practice this over time, the distortion begins to lighten up a bit. And as you are less caught up in believing in your thoughts and feelings as real, your belief systems as real, as they capture you less. I don't say never, because anybody can get into an intensity big enough to catch them. It's very difficult to, say, be captured by the Chinese as a Tibetan Lama and not have that intensity override your practice. I don't care how good you are. Shit happens. So you practice. Oh, I see that question. Did you say purify tawa? No, you purify your view of tawa. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. Your view of me is not me. It's who you think I am. That's why I go around telling I'm a dog-tooth Lama. You can look that up, it's a Tibetan story. Because none of you see me. I don't even see me. I see who I think I might be, hope I might be, and I see who I'm afraid I might be. Those are Nam talk. Fortunately, I don't have to listen to all that crap. You don't have to listen to yours either, that's the point. Another question online. If you frequently get stuck in a flat state, I'd add Chenrezig to your daily practice. If you do the Chenrezig sadhana I taught that I got from Lama Thupten Yeshi, that actually points you directly at Sambhogakaya. He was a great tantric master, not a Dzogchen teacher. He was Gelugpa, They don't do Dzogchen. And he may have had a relationship with the Yidam that doesn't even let you do Dzogchen. Oh, sorry, the protector, I don't know. We didn't talk about it. But he had the same realizations from Oma Chenbo, Ochen, which is Madhyamika. It's a bit of a longer process that's done in the Galupa. The point I'm making about him is that all of these methods work. That Chenrezig is specifically, but he went through Tantra to gain his realizations, which works. So he's really good at pointing at the bliss. That Chenrezig sadhana ends in the light of the bliss, and you've told yourself the story in visualization that you are that. So it ends as you are that. You dissolve into that. So it teaches you to identify, not with the bliss nyam, but with Sambhogakaya nature of mind. Make sense? So any of you who are frequently having that problem, add Chenrezig in. That's a weird question. Working with an impression of wrong spirituality. I have no idea what that means. Person, you can clarify. Any more questions here? Yes?
You had talked about certainty, and in this teaching, is certainty associated with Tawa or Gom?
Gom is returning to Tawa again and again. We're going to talk about that this afternoon. And we're going to talk about the certainty more on Sunday. Tawa is simply opening your, Gom is simply opening your attention into Tawa. So the certainty arises from doing that a lot, like dropping stuff as a baby.
Because the first time I saw my true nature, it was like, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's always been.
Yes.
And it felt absolutely certain in that moment. I didn't realize at the time I could return to that over and over, and that took years. But
Developing the sense of certainty in a glimpse either sticks or wears off. If it sticks, chikchawa. If it wears off, gom. Other questions here?
The internet still has Tawa questions.
Yeah, pick me a good one.
Okay. Excuse me. Can you explain more about the, oops, there we go. Can you explain more about the vitality inherent in perceiving Tawa? There's a number of questions about the sensation of perceiving Tawa. This person is asking, does the experience have to be like that, meaning having vitality, or can it be simply contemplative?
Contemplative involves thinking about it. Won't work. To contemplate something is to think about it. In the beginning, we contemplate bodhicitta to arise a reasonable facsimile of it, so at least we can stop swatting the skeeters. Mostly. So contemplation is definitely not going to work. When you actually perceive Tawa as it is, yes, it is vital, bright, lucid, alive. If you're getting a big dead old nothing, you goofed. Go do more Chenrezig. You fell into the nihilism side. You're tipped, cacked. You got to get back into the middle. See, you guys haven't from childhood been exposed to the Sambhogakaya. All of these are Sambhogakaya forms. A little kid in Tibet has been saying mantra since they were on the tit. I mean, you sing manis to make the baby go to sleep. So Tibetan babies never learn or get a lung for manis. They know how to say it as soon as they're talking, because Granny's been singing it to them whenever they're cranky. So they sing manis because everybody else does. So they've probably done, by the time they grow up and even start meditating, close to 1 million manis. Just here and there walking around the stupa with mommy, as one does. And each one of these, when you look at it, and there's one on the altar in every Tibetan place, and they fill the altar bowls and light a butter lamp in front of it. And if you wake up at night, you look at it if you're a little kid. And it personifies Sambhogakaya. These are all called Sambhogakaya forms because they're wearing jewelry and crowns. These are symbolism. Each necklace and thing has a symbolism that points at Tawa, but at the Sambhogakaya nature of it, at the clear light nature of Dharmakaya. Yes, it's empty of stuff, but it's not a big dead black old nuttin'. It's not like outer space. It's bright. Heck, with all those stars out there, outer space is not that dark. It's just you need to put something there for the light to shine on it. So you see it. Look, this is clear light between my hands. Clear, transparent light. You can't see it unless I place an object in it for the light to bounce off of. So it's very easy to think there's no light, there's nothing between my hands, no light. There is nothing between my hands, but light is there. And anytime I place an object in that place, the light bounces off it, which is how you can see the object. That's clear light. The clear light nature of the emptiness. So we're doing analogies. The space between my hands, which has a specific boundary, is full of clear light, but you can't see it. So when you see the infinite openness, shunyata, tawa, you may at first glance think, oh, it's just so empty because you can't see the light unless you put something in it to bounce off it, but it's there. And it is that light by which, when there is something to see, you can see. But you've been focusing on all the things you can see since forever. All of your attention is point focused on this or that. When you're reading, you point focus on the lines, the words. How many compulsive readers do we have in here? Yeah, I got snowed into a cave and read my toothpaste tube 50,000 times. It's the only printed matter until I found half a book behind the woodpile. And then I was much happier because I was snowed in for days, high up in the Himalayas. Things happen. I was less cautious than I might have been in my 20s. So that's what we call the vitality. It is the lucidity. It is the ability of that emptiness to manifest all the multiplicity of phenomena. See that? Feel that? In Mahamudra, which is a very similar set of practices but taught with different words and in a different order, we call shunyata that what we're calling here infinite openness, Longchen Rabjam, infinite vast expanse, emptiness, we call that stillness. And we call all the wiggly stuff like, people and happenings, movement. And in the middle, when you bring them together, is the dancing stillness. Mahamudra method and way of seeing it. Yes?
Would you associate this more flat kind of experience with yang, and then the fuller aspect with a yin nature?
Opposite.
Okay.
We say that shunyata, I keep using my left hand to point because that's the yin side. We say that emptiness, shunyata, is yin. It is encompassing, accepting, open, great mother ocean of Dharmakaya. Whereas bodhicitta, the activeness of it, the dance, the movement is yang. Now, yin and yang do not make them about whether you've got an innie or an outie in this life. I'm really yang in my nature, always have been. Okay. Some guys are really yin in their nature, always have been. Doesn't even mean they're gay. It just means that they're more open and accepting and less active in doing. Mating works well when the two polarities come together. And you can even have two butches, one of whom is yang essence and one of whom is yin essence. Yes?
With relation to that, whenever you, for instance, like feeling the flatness, would that mean that you are embodying more of a yin energy in approach to?
It means you're tipping into too much. We actually look for the non-binary midline practice-wise, since enlightenment is neither yang nor yin, but is like the yin-yang, which is the dorje and the bell are symbols. So you really want to come back into the center when you're tipped. That doesn't mean you have to have a non-binary personality or manifestation. You can be 100% yin in the way you dance in the world. But in your practice, you need to hit midline. Make sense? Any more here? I'm going to close it for lunch. And we're going to go have our lunch. And we meet back here at 3. Have a nice lunch, guys. Ngewandi nyurdudag che che sala gopa arshu. Okay. Nyando, are you in a